When I think about this time of the year in Chicago, I'm happy that I'm not there because it'd be cold as all you know what.
When that wind kicks up, forget it.
Off.
Doesn't matter what you wear. Jamaica people are stubborn and they're hard and people know them and they figure they can do everything. The first 5 years we did Jamaica, okay, and we went to the World Cup, we didn't get paid. We did it for free. We didn't even get per diem. Okay?
Wow.
So we just did it because we love the country and we love the girls, but we wanted to see more than football. We wanted to see something happen to female players in Jamaica. So I take a Jalil Howell and a Sophie Smith, and they're driving from Fort Collins, which is sometime an hour and a half, 2 hours, and it's snowing like hell down in Denver. And they get there and they're like, all right, they say, we're coming down the train. Sometimes I don't want to go out there. I'm freezing my butts off. And I even tell my team this morning, if you don't have anything to do in the evening, go find a youth team and volunteer some time and just run around with the kids, and you'll find it's the greatest therapy in the world.
This is New Ground with Allen Hopkins Jr. Let's go. And Jalil Anibaba.
We are back and we are better. Your favorite players' favorite show, the best show on your soccer radio. New Ground, your home, the epicenter for melanin-rich conversations about life, soccer, whatever you call it. We hope each and every time you see us, hear us, and plug in that you find yourself in everything that we do. Allen Hopkins Jr. alongside my main man, Jalil Anibaba. Jalil, how you living this week?
Yo, it's popping. It's on and popping. It's up. Everything is good. It's Thursday night. You already know the vibes. But for me, what I am currently looking at is you in one of the freshest kits I've seen in a minute, for real. Yes, Black History Month is behind us. It's already March. It seems crazy to say because it feels like January, something like that was just yesterday. But bless the people. Let them know what you were rocking, where it came from, why it's so dope. What's the word, yo?
I feel like I'm on the carpet. Like, what are you wearing, Allen? That is so fly. Well, I got to tell you, shout out to Vancouver Whitecaps FC. Toussaint Ricketts is a real one. And they sent me a Black History Month kit, the one they've been rocking and wearing in matches in CONCACAF Champions League. They rocked them in preseason as well. And, as players, Jalil, there's not a whole lot that guys usually, you know, believe in together, but this jersey I think was just universally praised by a lot of the players and one of the best kits. And I'm not a super big kit guy, but this one right here feels right, and I appreciate the club and Toussaint for sending it my way. And just big shout out to them. Every day is really an opportunity to celebrate Black history. So I appreciate the Whitecaps for being great allies and supporters of what we do.
I mean, let's just keep it 100. Style is style. Heat is heat. And the reason why people are really feeling those jerseys is because they're amazing. They look dope. They're clean. They're sleek. It's a vibe. So shout out to the Vancouver Whitecaps for going a little bit left of center, but doing it in a way that has rhythm and flair. You know me, anything that is on and popping, I'm with it.
You and Mo Adu are definitely, leaders of the class. I'm much more understated. I like nice t-shirts, nice pants, kind of keeping it low key. But this one definitely makes me feel extra crispy and fly. I ain't gonna lie.
Does it make you feel younger? That's the question. I don't know. Does it make you feel younger or what?
If it was for my knees, that definitely would help. But unfortunately, there's nothing. But I appreciate Vancouver. Toss, you're a real one. Thank you very much. And, Jalil, we were chatting over the weekend, as you and I are always plugged in on MLS match days. And, now we're into sort of the rhythm and the flow. We touched on it a bit last week as well. But now there's starting to be a little of that early formation. I think of it like if you're working with clay and you start to get a bit of a shape and a sense of what you're trying to make. And so far, so good. And you start out east. I mean, the Philadelphia Union, they didn't really rebuild. They really just decided that they were going to start from where they were a couple of years ago. And I'm very impressed from an organization's perspective. Bradley Carnell seems to be the right guy to partner with Ernst Tanner. But what do you think about how they started? And of course, you can't get much better than their DP who's off to a flying start scoring goals.
Yeah, I mean, there are only 2 teams in MLS that remain perfect. What I mean by perfect is 3 wins in 3 games, and the way that the Philadelphia Union has done it has been very impressive. To your point, Bradley Cornell has seemed to really fit the bill because his track record in terms of being with the New York Red Bulls and, of course, formerly with St. Louis, the style very much fits what Philadelphia likes to do historically, and he seemed to take it up yet another notch. I
Mhm.
like whenever a team is obviously able to hit the back of the net a multitude of times. Their goal difference is +7 right now. But what really stands out for me is they've only given up 3 goals. They're not
Yep.
just scoring goals and then also letting up a bunch as well. You have a very good mix there with guys that have been with the club for a really long time. And we know that Philadelphia Union has emerged as one of the clubs in MLS that has produced a multitude of young talent as well. So a very exciting prospect to continue to watch and see how they progress throughout this season.
It's interesting, and again, give them credit. They're off to an amazing start. Greg Berhalter, Chicago, what an amazing 3 goals in 9 minutes. Your former club get off the mark. The Berhalter era has their first W as well. Sticking in the East, is there a couple other little storylines that you've seen so far that has you very curious to see what this team is at this point in the season?
I mean, you can't really talk MLS without talking Miami, not just because of the names, but
Mm,
because of what they've been able to do over the last 18 months, if you
well
will.
said.
And is Messi playing? Is he not playing? Does not seem to matter when it comes to Inter Miami's form, or they get the job done against Charlotte, who's a team that you almost really never know what you're going to get with Charlotte, which is difficult to prepare for. Are they going to be able to hit you on the counter and dominate the game? Are they going to be a team that gives up a lot of opportunities? It kind of depends on the day. And Miami does what they need to do, getting a result with a man down. Inter Miami is obviously one that you're looking at there. I am very much interested to see what Atlanta does because they made some splash signings. Latela, of course, Miguel Almiron. And they're, started off to somewhat of a slow start, but it's only 3 games in for me. So they play Miami at home this weekend. If they can get themselves rolling, you already know that they have the talent to really make a run, whether it's early, mid, or late season. Look at last year. They weren't
Mhm.
great throughout the course of the season, but the last 2 months or last month really, they were really on fire. So for me, those are kind of the 3 teams that I'm looking at in the East.
I really think coaching staffs, it's not always in-game decisions. It's when you take these chunks of the season, some coaches like to split it in groups of 4 or groups of 5, depending on what your total fixture count is.
Yeah.
I think this is when the really good managers separate themselves because they can be honest about who they have and their roster and their capabilities, but also start to tweak. And I think Ronnie Dahlia, who's got an MLS Cup as a head coach with NYC, I think he's still trying to figure out how to play with a really strong attacking crew, something he necessarily hasn't always had as a coach. So it'll be interesting to see what adjustments they make for sure. I think all 3 of those teams have something to prove here over the next couple of weeks as we head into the second full month of the season. Speaking of something to prove, San Diego FC,
Yeah. Yeah.
3-1. Dreyer is the real deal. Looks like the recruitment was right. It looks like they got a player with the right profile to be a DP, to be a 10 in
Yep.
MLS. Always seems to be sniffing around the ball. A really fun player to watch. Does the little things consistently well that makes him elite. But a big result at RSL. What do you think about their start? And again, defensively, they're proving to be a team, and I know you love that side of the ball as I do. It
Yeah.
seems to be a team defensively that's gonna be very tough to break down.
A lot of times people think that just because you're an expansion team, it's a foregone conclusion that you're going to struggle. But like we've spoken about on the show, if you look at recent historics, so I
Mhm.
would task people to go back and maybe even just 7 years in in league history. Expansion teams actually do pretty well out the gate. And San
Mm,
Diego is further proving that point. Yes, it is
good
early, but
point.
the way that they're starting the season shows that they're prepared, shows that they understand the task. And when you watch them play,
Well
it does
said.
not look like they are getting results just sheerly because of form. They're well built from a roster construction standpoint, but also too they've shown the ability to win games in a difficult manner or when maybe their backs are up against the wall. When you look at week 1, yes, they were winning the game 1-0 against LA Galaxy late on in the game, but the Galaxy was throwing the kitchen sink at them. They sat back just a little bit and then boom, hit them on the counter 2-0. That is typically what you have with more mature teams and teams that have been able to gel for a while. So I like what's coming out of San Diego. And don't forget, they're out of the best state in the world.
America's finest city is showing out, no doubt. And I tell you what, those California teams, San Jose, the two LA teams, San Diego, that's going to be really tough for some
Facts.
of these teams, particularly when the sun is shining and the weather is good. Different kind of home field advantages, to say the least. One of the things that you and I were remarking on over the weekend was Jordan Morris.
Yeah, yeah.
Congratulations to JMO. We're talking about the all-time leading scorer for the Seattle Sounders. And, sometimes when you say that at a club in MLS, it doesn't have any gravitas. It can be an asterisk. Sometimes it's only 30, 40 goals, but the Sounders are a legendary club in North
Hmm.
America.
Hmm.
Full stop, period. And to think that Jordan Morris, homegrown to DP, is now the club's all-time goal scorer in all competitions. Mercer Island represent. Just so exciting for him. And you and I were talking about, because you've been very good on this show, as you are in all our conversations about the levels and pathways. And it's remarkable that, as far as you and I could recall, that Jordan Morris and his new teammate Jesus Ferreira are the only homegrowns who made it all the way to being a designated player DP. Homegrown to DP, that is a road less traveled.
Yep.
When you think about that as both testament to who those two players are, but what does Jordan Morris mean to you as someone who is a teammate, is someone that's been there and has love and affection for your time as a Sounder?
Well, first and foremost, what Jordan Morris represents from a league standpoint is an entire proof of the pathway. It's the proof of concept. To go from being a homegrown player to then ascending all the way up into the highest ranks with the national team and with the club team,
Mhm.
being a franchise player, not just one that is quote unquote hyped up because sometimes homegrown players get that label. Oh nah, they're just hyped because the club has an agenda to push them through. Jordan Morris has completely smashed that out the window.
Mm.
It's all through merit. It's all through doing things the right way. It's all through treating people the right way. If you know or have been around Jordan Morris for 30 seconds, you know that he's a very humble person. He comes from a very humble family.
Yes.
And he's just always himself. He doesn't change who he is when he's on camera or on the pitch or whatever have you. And people that are very fond of Jordan Morris in and around Seattle or the national team or whatever have you, they all love how peaceful and tranquil he is. And it's just who he is as a person, and throughout his career, I have never experienced or talked to anybody that will tell you that he's switched up. And those aspects for me are things that are way more refreshing than any accolades, but then when you sift through his career and you talk about his accolades, you're talking about an upstanding and an extremely high achieving gentleman as well. Shout out to Jordan Morris because what he's been able to achieve with one club is unprecedented in this league. And the fact that he is still what you could class as the prime of his career is very scary to think about when you talk when you really sit down and think about it.
30 years of age, 30 is the new 20, if you will. He looks young, he's fit, he's back, he's healthy. Congratulations to him. And of course, a big part of his career, Jalil, was making the World Cup as a collegiate and being able to replicate that later in his career. The U.S. men's national team, they're calling it Pochettino's first real test here coming up against Panama. The roster came out. Your overview, 30,000 foot thoughts on this roster here that Pochettino's called in. A very non-MLS roster, if you will, which I think is a nod to sort of where MLS players are in the season. But our boy Patrick Agyemang got the call as well.
Exactly. When you talk about a 30,000-foot view, my drone is right over Charlotte. That's and shout out
Hey, can we tell the people that is just Jalil's drone? There's nothing else, no
ex
extraterrestrials.
exactly.
Don't
Don't
start blowing
call
up our line.
exactly. Don't call security on my drone because we just peeping how Patrick Agyemang is ascending, and it's awesome,
Mm.
man. Shout out to him. Shout out to Brian White. Shout out to the fact that the entire national team right now, the pool is just so thick with talent. So thick with talent that it's making it very difficult for Pochettino and company to really be able to figure out which players need to be called in at which points in time, at least from the outside looking in. And I have not seen a roster under Pochettino where I'm frustrated. Like, nah, that player should not be there. And I just really like how now going into Nations League, you're seeing players that are rewarded for what they did in January, rightfully so. And of course, there's some injuries. Flo Balogun is hurt, so he's not in the picture. So maybe some of the players were able to get in via some of the first choice, quote unquote, guys being injured. But it doesn't matter though. What matters is that you're now starting to see somewhat more of a merit-based system in terms of call-ups for even the bigger competitions, aka Nations League.
For players, the World Cup has already started. And I think
Yeah, of
sometimes
course.
as fans and other people outside looking in, you think it's 2026 for these players. It's getting the rest and the nutrition and the recovery and making sure you're right in your day job. So you have an opportunity to wear the crest in these meaningful matches here as our countdown to 2026 is well underway. The countdown is over for the 2025 NWSL season. This show, we're going to get you right. Later on in the show, we're going to sit down with Chicago Stars head coach Lorne Donaldson. But before joining us after the break to get us right and make sure we're primed for the conversation with Coach Donaldson, friend of the show, the insightful, the fun, the entertaining, and the intelligent Tamara Griffin stops by as we talk NWSL. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to New Ground on SiriusXM FC. We're not switching gears, we're changing lanes, but we're going to keep the speed 100. I think, Jalil, the bar of the year, maybe on season 1 of New Ground, was get your Shawinga on. Tamara Griffin is back to get us ready and on point for the NWSL season as it gets underway in full. Tamara, first, how you living? Thank you so much for joining us on New Ground again.
Thank you for having me. It's always great to stop by. I am taking things day by day. I am trying to resist with my joy and breathe and just be grateful every chance I get. But I am very excited for the NWSL season because there's no balm like sports. And
Mm,
this
mm.
league is only getting bigger and crazier and better. So I really think that we're in for something special this season.
That makes 3 of us, who are excited for the NWSL season. And you being the expert that you are, give us 3 things that have left you extremely excited about the offseason that you're very much looking forward to as far as the start of NWSL is concerned.
Oh, there's been so much movement. I feel silly for thinking, oh, it's the off season. I'll be able to relax, check out, read a couple books. But if anything, I'm relieved that the season is starting just because we can pause on all of the transfers and records broken. I mean, this is number one on my list is both directly related to the NWSL, even though it has to do with the departure. And I'm talking about the $1 million transfer fee signing for Naomi Girma, who's leaving the NWSL, yes, and going to Chelsea. But what that makes me excited about when it comes to the league is that raised bar. It's possible that we might see an even higher transfer fee, another record broken before this NWSL season ends. And I think that headline, it broke past the soccer world, it broke past the women's soccer world, any gender. It became like international headline news. And that's only going to draw more eyes to the
Yeah.
league. That's only going to incite players to pay more attention to it, whereas they may not have before. So that may be a bit unexpected, left field, but that's number 1 on my list. Number 2, and this is probably going to where we might talk about this team a little bit more because they have been deeply intriguing to me throughout the whole offseason,
Mm,
and that's the Houston Dash. Um, they have been long struggling in this league on many levels, and I'm not just talking about performances on the pitch. Very, very, very few playoff appearances since they joined the league in 2014. But now they have Angela Hucles Mangano. They've made huge signings with the likes of Yasmin Ryan and Messiah Bright, I'm thinking of specifically. And this team, I think, for a long time has had so many question marks behind it. There has been, and especially as the league has continued to grow, the question of whether or not the Dash can grow along with the league and grow into the potential that I think when you think about the quality of football from starting with the youth level throughout Texas. You look
right.
at teams like Dallas Trinity that are not even part of the NWSL and how much they've grown. And I think as things have grown around the Dash, the question of whether or not they can continue to compete has become even more urgent, and I think this is gonna be the season that will give us a pretty clear answer to that question. And I'm not even saying, if the Dash don't make it into the playoffs, then it's all gonna be a failure. But
Right.
I think this has to be the season that shows us something to give us a clue into whether they are actually going to invest into the potential that I know they've had. And now that they have, in my opinion, the resources in the front office and in terms of the personnel on the field, if it doesn't happen this season, I don't know what the fate of this team is going to be because, like I said, the league is only getting bigger. The third one, I'm so torn because there are so many teams that I wanna be on the lookout for, from the Orlando Pride, seeing if they can pull off the
Mhm.
spectacular run that they had last season, but I'm gonna save that in case you guys have thoughts on that team as well. And I'm actually gonna talk about Gotham because that is also a team that has made many statements about their intentions to be the best club in the world with all of these international partnerships, international signings that are only continuing to happen based on the rumors that I've heard. But there have also been some pretty drastic and surprising changes, namely for me, I think, the departure of Crystal Dunn during the offseason. She's now with
Same.
PSG. And of course, that raises questions, as a native New Yorker who seemed thrilled to be able to play in front of her home crowd, um, to leave so soon after such a splashy signing, I think also raises some important questions. And I'll be really, really curious to see what direction this club wants to take itself. So those are 3, but I mean, I could give you 7 if we had time.
Tamara, you mentioned Orlando. First, do you think they have what it takes to do the unthinkable again? And we are having a conversation with a dear old friend, Chicago head coach Lorne Donaldson, later on the show. What do you think about Chicago? It took them a while to get going last year, but they got into the postseason. A very good away team, not so much at home, but they actually play each other in their first regular season matchup. So, do you think Orlando has what it takes and handicap Chicago for us this year?
Yeah, I expect Orlando to keep that same momentum going. I'm a vibes person, I'm an energy person,
So
and
is
all I
Jalil.
can tell you is based on the photos, the videos that I've seen of the Pride in their preseason, they are locked in. Their
Mm,
energy is giving locked in, it's giving focus, it's giving both the best parts of being sort of a generational underdog as a club and the best parts of having accomplished what they did last season combined. And now they're only building on that. I know Seb is not interested in letting his foot up off the gas. They've made some really interesting new signings but really have retained like the spinal cord of their roster. They got Marta to play another season. I mean,
right?
I am expecting them to continue to do great things. Challenge Cup loss to the Washington Spirit aside, which is another team, of course, that we have to keep our eye on. That being said, I think that even in his first season, Lauren has, I think, sort of continued his brand as a manager of being the bully team, the team, the dream ruiner, which I think maybe explains their road performances. And I respect that, and this is the perfect league for that kind of team. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for the Stars, and I think Lauren is also one of those football minds where he's, like, so many steps ahead that what we're seeing right now are very much the building blocks for hopefully, he's gonna be given the space to continue to build. I hope to see Mel Swanson back in the lineup. I know that she's had an extended, excused absence, but I was really impressed, with a lot of the rookies from last season and am really, really optimistic about their continued growth in this season. So I do think that the pride will get the better of Chicago in this first game, but Chicago, I think as the season goes, will continue what they started in that first season and have a solid one.
Well, anything Chicago that's aligned with success, I'm always going to be happy with because that's where I personally started my career. Um, I want to take this a little bit away from footy for a second, though. Give us one player who you expect to excite on the fits front when it comes to opening night. Who's going to have the
Ooh,
dopest fit
Ooh.
on opening week?
Oh.
I like
One player.
this.
Michelle Alozia.
Let's go. And why?
I have really appreciated the way that she has been leaning into Nigerian and West African fashion, promoting local designers. I'm all for that, and we could have a whole separate conversation about, like, the fashion
Yeah.
scene in West
Yeah.
Africa right now.
Yeah.
But I feel like she's gonna bring it.
Let's go.
I love that question.
This is why we love Tamara, and we will certainly have her back on, and we'll even get more. We'll pick up where we left off, and then we'll
Yes.
finish with the footy, unlike this time where we started with it. But always kind and generous. We appreciate you, Tamara. We hope your off season was good. Now, right back at it, and we'll see you down the road real soon. Thank you for joining us here on New Ground today.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
Coming up on the other side of the break, Chicago Stars head coach Lorne Donaldson joins us. We talk Chicago, we talk the NWSL season, and his journey and pathway to being one of the top coaches in our entire ecosystem. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to New Ground on SiriusXM FC. Welcome back to New Ground. The 2025 NWSL season is set to get underway. The Chicago Stars taking on the defending champions, Orlando Pride. Friend of the show, Sep Hines, has joined us before, and equal time and much respect. Lorne Donaldson's journey is a story of soccer brilliance, from 17-year-old national team debut back in the day to coaching the Reggae Girls at the Women's World Cup. He shaped players and the sport itself, and we're so excited he could join us this week to cover New Ground. Remarkable career, and a man who says that he wants to finish what he has started. Joining us this week, none other than Chicago Red Stars head coach Lorne Donaldson. Lorne, how you living this week? You good?
No, I'm good, man. Just, I mean, it's a little bit nice in Chicago this week, so I actually can be outside right now, enjoy a little sunshine. You know, this time of the year in Chicago, you don't get that very often, so enjoy the little weather while you can.
Hey, who are you telling? Coach, I started my career in Chicago. I was drafted by the Fire back in 2011. So, when I think about this time of the year in Chicago, I'm happy that I'm not there because it'd be cold as all you know what,
I tell you what, man, and that win is when that wind kicks up, forget it.
off.
Doesn't matter what you wear.
When I think about this time of the year in Chicago, I'm happy that I'm not there because it'd be cold as all you know what,
I tell you what, man, and that wind is when that wind kicks up, forget it.
off.
Doesn't matter what you wear.
How you got into football? Why did it become something for you that was not just a game but a way of life?
Yeah, it's a long story. If I had to go to where I started, that's my entire Jamaica life. I got started just playing pickup ball on the street and just kind of loved the game. And I didn't get my first pair of cleats until I was like 14. So I was playing in barefoot for a long time. And, actually, when I get my first pair of cleats, I was so naive. I got the two wrong size. Size 9 was right foot, and size 8 was my left foot. And I'm like, this doesn't work. But I went through, and it was hard times in Jamaica because obviously, you know, my family didn't have the money. I used to sneak out and just go play continuously. I was I was so happy for the boots. They asked me to go pick out the boots, and I'm so happy. I picked out a pair of size 8, and one was a 9, and I'm like, this doesn't feel good. And 2 days later, I check, and I'm like, they're not the same size. So I had to return it, and you know, I ruined somebody's cleats. But I mean, that was my first pair at 14. Then, from there on, I went to, Kingston College, played for the coach, George Thompson, who became the national team coach. And, good coach, one of the top 2, 3 ever to service in Jamaica. And from Kingston College, I went to the same club that played Miami FC the other night, Cavaliers FC. So, I was a young member of Cavaliers FC, played for another great coach, Leighton Duncan. Okay. Leighton Duncan was a possession-oriented player. So, goalkeeper, people talking about playing out. Our goalkeeper, he doesn't want the ball to be kicked more than 20 yards. You got to roll it out every single time. So, so when people talk about that, I'm like, you know what, this is nothing new. So, and I think he was following way back 74 Brazil World Cup team. That's all Pele they used to do, just roll it out, and he was built in that way. Then from there on, went to played for Jamaica late 70s, 80s, and just for a short while, played for Jamaica. And Leighton George Thompson became the coach. My high school coach was the coach, and there played. Jamaica wasn't too good. A lot of political stuff. So I said I'm out. Came to the USA, played a little bit, and I was going to be drafted in the NASL, and that was going to go under. So my college coach told me, don't go, don't leave. And he was right. The league went under. And there was a dead spell in America for a long time. You have indoor, I didn't like it, and a lot of leagues, and then the A League, APSL came along, and I was player coach and coach for a long time in that league, played a little bit. Some great teams, great teams, great players, the Robin Fraser, the Marcelo Balboa, Top Ramos, all those guys, Winalda, all those guys are playing, great league, great players, you know, and that was a survival of US soccer. And that league went under until MLS came along. We had the Colorado Foxes at the time, and the Foxes was supposed to be a part of MLS soccer. But the owner for the Foxes didn't like the idea of the single entity. He decided not to do it, and
Oh, wow.
he decided he's not going to do it because he said, "Listen." And he actually did turn around and call all the guys, Sunil and everybody else who was doing MLS. He turned around and said, "You guys must be a communist." So the German guy was calling the American guys communists, and I'm like,
Oh, that's not gonna
"This,
work.
this is crazy." Because he said, "Listen, I'm going to lose money. I want to lose it my own way, not in a single. You can't spend my own money." So
Mm.
the Rapids came to Denver, and from there on, MLS started. I actually did release all the players to MLS at the time. I think I had Balboa was gone. I had Robin Fraser, Mark
Yep.
Dodd, Brian Haynes. A lot of these guys, Teddy Eck, who played, you know, Mark Santel, national team guys. So I just told the owner, I said, "Listen, we're not going anywhere.
Mm.
MLS is going to take over." He didn't believe it, but I had to release the guys because most of those guys were in the last year of their contract or option. And, I had to see, I saw the future, but he wasn't seeing it. I wasn't in the league coaching. I was a little bit disappointed at the time. I thought I should have been one of the coaches in the league, but when MLS started,
Mhm.
if people don't know, MLS started with a Latino mind frame. And my argument to them, why don't we just get the best players? Everything was focused around, we want Latina here, what Latina here, so that should be a Latina driven league. And my thing was, why don't we
Mhm.
get it to be a football driven league where the best players play and that. So I mean, obviously I wasn't Latino, so I wasn't a big part of the argument.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
that kind of continues. Did a little bit with the Colorado Rapids as an assistant, and back then. So I reunited with some of the guys, with Robin Fraser and Marcelo Balboa, and some of these guys were, playing. So we had a good time with that. And then from there on, I got out. I was back in the youth club business, developing players, and that's where it goes. And keep doing the youth club stuff. And then Jamaica needed some help on the women's side, and I said I'm going to jump in with you men's, and we jumped in, and we helped them out. They got to the World Cup in 2019. I left. They needed some help again. I jumped back in, and we got to the World Cup in 2023, and that turned out decent. We went to the final
Understatement.
six. We went to the final 16, even though I thought we could have been a little bit better. But and after that, I said again, the Jamaican Federation wasn't satisfied because there was a lot of stuff going on, and I wasn't gonna put up with the bull. So I mean, obviously, because and that didn't last. So I stepped aside, and maybe they just fired my ass. I don't know. And so and then I said, okay, that's it for me. I'm going to just tone it down a little bit, travel. And then I got a call from Chicago, and I got a call from a lot of teams. But the call from Chicago was special because the owner called me and said, hey, Lorne, you know what? Really want you to come in and see if we could change the culture of this team. And obviously, it was Mallory Pugh was there. I mean, he's here, one of my young players back then, and she was hurt, and she was coming back, and she's going to need some help. And, and I know a few other players that I coach, and I said, all right, I will come out here and do it for 2 years and, see what happens. First year we were decent, and now I'm in my second year now, right now, getting to play Orlando. Seven is power team this weekend with Marta and Banda and the crew. So
right.
He's got it stocked, he's got it loaded, and we're gonna go in there with with some of our top players, so-called top players, not playing for 5 million different reasons. So we got to go in there and just with some young players and just
see what can happen.
See what can happen. They're gonna celebrate, and we're gonna go in there and just say, you know what, Seb has done a great job with that team. Yolanda, Seb and Barnes. I mean, they have done a great job with that team. So I give them a lot of credit. So Giles Barnes and those guys and Seb and Yolanda. So great stuff. I'm going to see them this weekend, and and we just kind of go from there.
Lorne, you've been around for a minute, but you've seen this iteration of professional women's soccer before. WUSA, WPS, now NWSL. Why has NWSL felt different to you? And how excited are you to see this version of the game that you poured yourself into grow into what it is now, and only getting bigger and better? By the way, in our backyard, Lorne, there's a new NWSL team in Denver. So I'm not trying to tamper or anything like that, but how cool has it been for you to see the league get to this place, having seen other versions of professional women's soccer before?
You got to give it to the leadership, to the commissioner, and but I think the big deal in this one is just the investors. I mean, we know in American sports, if there's not if the money if the cash flow is not there, you're gonna struggle. And I think there's some strong investors, and you can see from you mentioned Denver, okay, that's a strong group right there. With coming in with good cash flow, but also I think the PR around it now, it's attracting. It's attracting a lot of people to the stadium now. The games are like real games. The games are there, but you got to credit the national team of what they have done. Winning 4 World Cup and the Olympics and doing all this stuff. All those players, most of those players are in the league, so we have to give credit to the U.S. Federation for putting out some great teams, and it's still going on. So, but I think the interest in women's football has grown a lot, tremendously. And I was in the last World Cup in Australia, and it was unbelievable. I mean, the excitement around the games were unbelievable. So the growth of it is, I think it's everything, whether it's TV, whether it's you guys coming on talking about it, whether it's the players. But I just think, you know what, the biggest thing is that the investors believe, the players believe, and I think the system is producing good players, so
Mm,
people can come out and be entertained.
mm.
Coach, you said something that resonated with me there, and it's belief. And when I was watching your guys' historic run in the World Cup in Australia, making it all the way to the round of 16, which I thought you guys were gonna make it to the at least the
Yeah.
last 4, maybe even the final, the way that you guys were playing. It was very clear from the outside looking in that the whole group believed in the project, believed in playing for the badge. Can you talk to us about that experience, but more specifically, talk to us about how you build culture? Because it was also something that you said Chicago said was top of their mind when they hit you up.
Mm,
Yeah, I mean, the Jamaica thing was a matter of being beaten down a lot and being not, as you know, Jamaica people are stubborn and they're hard and people know them and they figure they can do everything. But women football it wasn't given that top priority.
Mhm.
And the girls weren't looked after close to what they supposed to be, be looked after. And if it wasn't for like a Sidella Marley, okay, and the Bob Marley Foundation, it wouldn't have happened. I mean, just to be truthful, because it wouldn't have been financed. Okay, without her, we couldn't have done anything. And actually, she was the one when we went to the first World Cup who said put the team in because the team wasn't gonna enter, and she was the one who backed it. And from there on, she stood behind it. But
Oh,
again,
wow.
so all the players and a lot of the players, like, a lot of when we know some of them, Bonnie Short, Man City right now, and all these players,
Yeah.
they weren't given a chance, so we had to go out and we had to find players who actually just want to get a chance. And I think the girls, they just want to prove that if given a chance, okay, they can get it done.
Mm,
Because
beautiful.
myself and you men's the first 5 years we did it. The first 5 years we did Jamaica, okay, and we went to the World Cup, we didn't get paid. We did it for free. We didn't even get per diem. Okay.
Wow.
So we just did it because we love the country and we love the girls, but we wanted to see more than football. We wanted to see something happen to female players in Jamaica. How can we get them? And when we were talking about just getting college scholarship and stuff like that, we wanted to see them, a lot of them, because most of those girls comes out of the rough ghetto neighborhood. Okay, as they call it in Jamaica, they come from the barracks. So most of those girls are out of the barracks. Then you know, but the girls in
Mhm.
America, which were great and from England, came in and we said we have to use, we have to go into the diaspora and get players, for us to be good. So we have to blend
Mm,
three or four different culture, okay, Jamaican culture, to be
Yeah.
one. And they
Yeah.
all believe among themselves that, you know what, it was their heart, okay? Because talent wise, yeah, we're okay. Now we're good because we have a lot of talent now. A lot of girls have come to
mm,
as I speak, through the woodworks right now. Everybody say, I can play for Jamaica, here's my stuff. But back then, it was hard. It was hard.
Mhm.
It was a hard fight. They play without a lot of stuff that, people say, how did you guys ever do it? To tell you the truth, a lot of the stuff, we don't know how we get it done. We just say, let's
mm.
go out there and let's go fight for the country. Let's go fight for the
Love it.
badge and let's go
Love
fight
it.
for the people.
Mm.
Coach, but it still begs the question for me, where does this come from for you? Because in your
Mm.
track record of football, you could have easily just said like, "Nah, I'm good. Yes, I love Jamaica, but like I'm not about to go coach for free." Where does that
Right.
ethos to give back come from? And it takes a lot of, like you're saying, hard work, effort, but you have to really give to you know what's to bring everybody together. Where does all that come from? Who taught you that you need to be that way as a man?
I think I learned that from the school I went to, Kingston College. Okay,
Mm,
I realized at the time, and that coach George Thompson and Leighton Duncan, both coaches, they were rich in heart, and they had some money, but when
mm. That's a
they
bar.
died without money. They were like, oh, okay, that shouldn't have happened to them. So I learned that from my school and from the alumni there that, if I needed a pair of boots, my parents couldn't afford it. And it was given to me by one of the past students or the alumni or whatever it is, even the
Mm,
teachers, everybody put in. And I realized that a part of Jamaica culture to me was going to be how can we give back? How can me and myself and you Menzies and some of the coaching staff give back, And we were lucky enough now over here to know a bunch of
mm,
college coaches, and we asked them for stuff. We know the Nike people, so we can say, hey, you know what, help us out with a few things for Jamaica, whatever it is. Okay. Now it's a little bit different now because now they have a contract with Adidas and all this stuff. Back then we
mhm.
didn't have that. We have to be, searching for everything and just making it go. So that, I mean, and then, whatever money we have that we can spare, okay, it didn't dawn on us. I mean, if the girls are hungry and we're traveling, we just say, hey, you know what,
Right.
let's go get them a meal. I mean,
Yes.
I mean, we didn't have to think about it. It was just something that
Mm,
we we grow up seeing this happen, and we just wanted to give back, and we wanted to see especially the young player, because we started with those players from under 17, under 20 to the national team. We just wanted to see them succeed, and to see them
mm.
succeed, and some of them doing very well, and then what happened to the players coming up now, looking up to these players, to me, you know, it's it's
That's
it's
the
beyond
win.
me. It's just beyond me. It's just something that I said, you know what? We didn't think about it. We just know we had to do it.
Mm, that's amazing. I've often joked on the show, I was a poor, poor man's DeMarcus Beasley. And I remember meeting you so many years ago at Rangeview High School, not too far from my mother's house in Aurora, Colorado. And you and I have stayed connected. Julian spent time even working with my own oldest daughter. You and I have had a relationship that spanned the years. And one of the things that I always tell people about you is your innate ability to connect. And I think about this generation of women's national team players, and specifically when I say Sophia and Mallory and Lindsay, and there's so many other players that you are central to their development and upbringing in Colorado, coaching standout youth players. What has it been for you to see the work that you put in day to day to nurture them as people and then to see them bloom as players for club and country?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because it's again, I said I don't spend a lot. I saw Janine Becky, who's Janine Sunnis this weekend, and I know Janine since she was 4 or 5 years old, playing her
Mm,
brother Drew Becky. The family played with me.
yes.
I remember a lot when Janine was maybe about 5, 6. Her dad passed away, and she has. We had to take care of the family because we know how hard it was. Her dad passed away, and she's young, and whatever it is. And to see her, I was just talking to her this past weekend because we had a practice game against Louisville, and we just chit chatting. Now we're talking about football. We're talking about different stuff right now, family and kids and all this
Mm,
kind of stuff. Because while
mm,
Sophia is out, those are the kind of stuff that we talk about. That is another generation coming up that I'm happy to see them. Okay,
mm.
some of them, they're playing, but they can continue their life, and they start thinking about playing and in a different life with family, and it's
Yep.
actually great. But to see them, Alice Slagle, a lot of these girls who
Yes.
plays in the league,
You
just
have
to
real
see them
receipts,
play,
Lauren.
yeah, yeah, just to see them play and just connect with them, and even some of them that I played against youth club level, just to see how we connect. And you want to win the game, but after the game, the human side will come out. And I really
Mm,
appreciate them appreciating me at times. Say, hey, coach, how you doing? Sometimes,
mm.
whatever it is, you know,
Checking
you
in.
play a
Yep.
hard game, and then the human element of it, because when it's all said and done, you got to remember still it's a game. We want to win, but then the human side. But I want to see them go on and do great stuff for people. My aim is, what can some of these players do when they're done with their playing career? How can they help another kid to get to where they are to be better? And that's I mean that's
Mm,
Can they give back a little bit? A little bit. Can they volunteer a little bit of time to, the little club over there or the little school over there? And
Right.
I always tell them, and I even tell my team this morning, if you don't have anything to do in the evening, go find a youth team and volunteer some time and just run around with the kids,
Yeah.
and you will find it's the greatest therapy in the world.
Mm. Mm.
Oh, you are 100% right. One thing, coach, that my dad would always say is when you ever find yourself lost in life or you're down, just go and help people. Just go and volunteer. Give your time, and then it snaps you back to reality, and you quickly focus on what actually matters in life. Um, my last question for you before Alan closes is, what is one characteristic that you see through each and every one of the high level athletes that you've coached, personality wise?
A lot of times there has to be a little natural talent, but they are self-driven. They are
Mm.
they are self-driven to another level. Whether it's snowing, whether it's raining, whether it's windy, okay, whatever the conditions are, they're like, let's go. Okay. They don't find all the excuses not to go. They want to know, let's go. And I couldn't see like I take a Jalin Howell and a Sophie Smith, and they're driving from Fort Collins, which is sometime an hour and a half, 2 hours, and it's snowing like
Mhm.
hell down in Denver. And they get there
Mhm.
and they're like, all right, they say, we're coming down the train. Sometimes I don't want to
Mhm.
go out there. I'm like, I'm freezing my butts
Yeah.
off. But they're here,
Mhm.
and I'm like, okay, let's go. I have to put on a different face, and we got to go. And I have a
Mhm.
lot of those videos and tape that I'm out there freezing, and these kids are like, "What are you doing? Let's go." So I
Mhm.
think they have a
Mm.
different level that drives them into this next stratosphere. That
Yeah.
you know what, they're not willing to say no. They're always saying, "Why can't we do it? We want to do it." And that separate to me, just the good from the excellent to whatever to the superior. But some comes with also, you have to have, the really superior has to have that natural God-given talent, that whether it's speed or whether
Mhm.
it's certain things that sometimes somebody just don't have it.
Coach Lorne Donaldson, player, coach, mentor, an OG, whatever it is, you are a leader of many, a testament to what dedication and influence and a life of service looks like in this wonderful game. And Jalil and I and the entire New Ground team appreciate you stopping by, and we look forward to tracking your progress over the course of the season. And best of luck. Tell Shay I'm sending her positive energy. Same with Ali Watt, and we just appreciate your leadership among Black coaches. I know what you mean to Robin and Kano, Waldy, and a lot of the Black coaches that are from the Caribbean. You've just been a North Star for them. So just appreciate you so much, who you are and what you're doing, and best of luck this season.
Thank you, man. And as you mentioned, Wooldie, we just have a good chat this morning. I chat to Wooldie because, Robin and those guys, those are my boys. And I will see Ali Watts and everybody this weekend. And
Yeah.
hopefully this community can grow, as coaches, as Black coaches, this community will grow, and it will grow because I think there's a lot of hungry coaches out there now who, it's going to take work, and they have to work hard to get it. So I appreciate you guys doing this. I appreciate being on and anytime. Okay. I love it.
Yes, absolutely. Hey, coach, real quick.
Now,
Do you love Jamaican KFC as much as Woldy and Robin? That's the one question.
hey,
Because
hey, hey,
because
hey, hey,
Robin
hey,
goes to a
hey, hey.
different place. Same with Woldy. They will
Yeah,
stop
I
Ty
know,
Marshall.
but
Let me tell
I,
you
I,
something.
I
These
always see
guys
those.
stop. So I just want to get your thoughts.
No, there's something different in the Jamaican KFC, and it's unbelievable. But you know what? I don't do it as much as those guys. But when I go to Jamaica, I can't believe the lines I'm seeing. I'm like, what the hell is this? I'm gonna go to the jerk. The guy over there selling some jerk chicken over there. I'm gonna go to the jerk guy. You guys can have KFC. I go to the jerk guy. They go to. I rather the jerk chicken instead of the KFC. But people
Uh,
go buy it, and they will buy buckets and take it back to the US. And I'm like, what are we doing? Are you guys crazy? They have
oh,
kids in the USA.
No,
They
coach,
said,
coach, listen, listen. I'm close with a lot of Jamaicans. Corey Gibbs is my guy. That's my
Oh
big
yes.
brother. That's my
Yep. Yes.
brethren. That's my guy. And all of y'all be talking about the KFC. I'm like, look, this has to be overhyped. But recently, the last time the U.S. men's national team played against Jamaica in Jamaica, Corey and I, we went to the game, blah, blah. On the way to the game, we're almost late to the stadium, Corey's like, nah, I have to stop at KFC, brethren. I said, what do you mean KFC? What you
KFC.
mean?
Was it the one in
Listen,
New Kingston right there?
I can co-sign that your guys' KFC is a different level,
Yeah,
It's a
man.
different level.
I know. It's listen, that KFC in Jamaica, it doesn't matter where in Jamaica, it's jam packed.
Yes.
It's just you can't get in. And I'm like, I gotta wait this long for a piece of chicken. This ain't gonna happen. I'm going to the jerk guy on the corner. So
Yep.
yeah.
Straight up. Y'all make the KFC with something. It's just rhythm. Something is different about the KFC because it's not the same as it is in Ohio or California.
No.
I
It just
know
ain't.
that it's not the same. It's not the same. And you're
That's
right.
right. That's right, man.
Tell Corey I said big up, man.
Yeah. We got you, Coach. We appreciate
All right,
you.
boys.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Welcome back. We are closing the curtain on another fantastic New Ground show. Our thanks to Tamara Griffin and Chicago Stars head coach Lorne Donaldson. An amazing conversation. We appreciate both of them as the 2025 NWSL season gets underway. You already know what time it is. It's that time every week where Jalil and I give out our flowers. Last week, I gave my bouquets to Justin Cochran of Brentford FC as he was named to Thomas Tuchel's English national team side as a first assistant, the same role he has at Brentford, and then also the newly minted Wake Forest Hall of Famer Ike Opara. This week, I am going in-house. I'm going to give my flowers to one of our colleagues and a dear friend of the show, Wayne Edwards. Wayne was awarded the MLK Vision Award for who he is and what he does, and I just appreciate who he is as a professor, as someone who has worked very, very hard to leave a legacy of his impact in television production. And we certainly wish him nothing but the best as well. But congratulations to Wayne and someone who has made it his business to leave the world much better than where he found it. So congratulations to him and much respect his way.
The world, the entertainment business, his family is completely better for the fact that he's around and he does what he does. Wayne Edwards is a top individual, funny, charismatic. He is low key one of the kings of one-liners as well, where like
Yes.
everything is calm, and then boom, out of nowhere, Wayne hits you with the one-liner. You're like, hey, Wayne, what the? I didn't even know you had it in you like that, man. And the fact that his line of work is to provide knowledge and equip the minds of young individuals says a lot about who he is as a person. And whenever I think you can literally follow the seeds that somebody sows and find them in other people, they've chosen to align their work in a very good way. Wayne Edwards is somebody that I learned from a lot just from watching. So shout out to
Appreciate
Wayne
that.
Edwards. I'm very happy that he's getting his flowers, and most importantly, congratulations on the award because it's very well deserved. My flowers are going in a way and in a vein that I normally don't take them, because normally
Okay.
you guys know me. I normally take my flowers into a place of excellence that is laced primarily with humanity in terms of who the person is. But this time I'm going pure football because we love footy here, and this is
Yes.
why we have this show. So for that, my flowers are going to Ousmane Dembele.
Oh,
Because
yes.
when you talk about a player who is balling out at the highest level, and it's not just form, it's not just coincidence, it's the fact that his ability is so high, his intelligence, his audacity, and very top level games it comes out at the right time, and it has been throughout the course of this season for PSG. He's getting my flowers. Just a few stats for you. As far as the top leagues in the world and in players that play his position, he's in the 98th percentile chance creation, 94th percentile in touches, 99th percentile in shot attempts, and the 100th percentile in goals. He's at 20 plus goals already. PSG is well and comfortable in the top spot in Ligue 1 with 65 points, 46 plus goal differential. And a lot of that has to do with him. Very, very happy to see him flip the script completely and deliver breathtaking performances week after week, which we all know that he can do. I hope that he continues to ball out because it's very exciting to see.
That's such a great point. We are always focusing on the things that make the game itself, but you and I both love the game itself. And make no mistake, we are deep in our footy bag quite often. And flowers to Dembele, and congratulations to Wayne Edwards as well, winning the University of New Haven 2025 MLK Vision Award. Shout out to both of them, and shout out to everyone who tunes in each and every week. New Ground Show is our blessing. It is our passion, and we appreciate you hopping in and joining us for a great ride each and every week. New Ground team is the best in the business. Executive producer Stefan Heraldo, our New Ground team, Megan Fontenot, Kristen Mann, and our music director, Mayzin. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on social media. Our handle is at New Ground Show. A reminder, you can listen to our previous episodes on the SiriusXM app. For Jalil Anibaba, I'm Allen Hopkins Jr. We'll see you next week on New Ground. Thanks, as always, for listening.